Hello, and welcome to another video. So in today's video, we're going to do a realistic getting a puppy, bringing a puppy home, a day in the life, a week in the life really of having a new puppy. Puppy is 8 weeks old. This is going to be a realistic video. So if you're looking for one of those aesthetic, I spend all my money videos, this is not going to be the one for you, okay? So without further ado, let's get into today's video. The first thing I want to talk about is actually getting the puppy. Now the puppy prices have gone just out of control. People have gone out of control. I found that in the search to get the puppy, there are certain breeds like golden doodles that people realize they can get a whole lot of money off of. Everybody wants to do the same thing that everybody's doing, and the people are making a lot of money for it, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I have been looking at a specific dog, which was a Shih Tzu, for a couple of years now. However, the time wasn't right to get a dog. So that's the first thing I want to talk about is you need to assess your life and see if getting a dog, especially a puppy, is something that is good for you and your family. Okay. I did a lot of praying about this. If I'm honest with you, I did a lot of fasting about this. If I'm honest with you, because I realized it was a big commitment. And when things aren't going the way that you want it to go, you don't just throw the puppy away. I know a lot of people say you can go to the, Humane Society and the shelter and get dogs. However, I have a child, I have children, and I'm not one of those people who think that the dog is more important than humans. This is foolishness, okay? Humans were placed a little lower than the angels. I didn't read dogs there in that scripture. If you're confused at all, go and look through this channel. In this house, we serve the Lord, okay? And we serve the Lord in everything, even in something as small as getting a puppy in the minds of other people, okay? So the dog prices are just going crazy. So it took me a while because there was just a certain price point that we wanted to stay at, and I also wanted the time to be right. But like I said, I couldn't just go to the Humane Society, which is much cheaper, because I do have children. And a lot of times people leave their puppies there or leave dogs there because the dog posed an issue that they couldn't contend with. And I would just rather a puppy grow up with the children, especially my daughter is extremely afraid of dogs, or at least was until puppy came into the home, because she actually was chased by somebody's pit bull. Okay, so I didn't want any of that. So if that's a question in your mind, why didn't you there's so many puppies that need to be adopted. There's so many children that need to be adopted too. What are we going to do about that? So when you're looking for a dog, the prices are crazy. I didn't want to pay any crazy price. And one day the Lord was just like, look on Craigslist is where I found the puppy. And this lady had just posted about puppies. And I'm like, okay, it might be a scam. It might be a scam. She was telling me that the puppy was only going to be $200. And I said, Lord, surely, Lord, don't get me excited if this is going to be a scam, because $200 for a Maltese mixed puppy certainly is a scam. But because I know my Father's voice, I knew that I should just go forward with the process. So things happen very swiftly. I'll tell you that by the time I reached out to the lady about the puppies, one of the dogs was already gone. By the time that I picked him up, the next day, it was like the next 2 days, his sibling was leaving 20 minutes after him. So they left very quickly, and they probably left very quickly because of the price point and then the kind of dog it was. Now, the lady didn't know too much. His mom is a Maltese, and his dad, I believe, is mixed with a poodle and a Shih Tzu. He's very small as well. But I think it was like an accidental pregnancy. The lady was very ready to get rid of the puppies. But I mean, it was a blessing to me. So you're just going to have to look for the puppy. I mean, over the years, I've looked, especially at the end of last year. I had been looking a lot, and I just saw astronomical prices. I saw Cocker Spaniels that were, $1,200. Shih Tzus were the dogs that I was really looking at, $1,200 plus. The prices were high. And why am I saying the price was high? I had two puppies when I was younger. One was a Chow Chow, which we all know what a Chow Chow looks like. The dog had a blue tongue, so the dog was like purebred Chow Chow. And we got the puppy in like a green sheet. The thing was called a green sheet. It's sort of like Craigslist, like a classified. The dog was $20. Okay. And that was back in the day. I also had a Cocker Spaniel Beagle mix. Very lovely dog, very friendly dog. As a puppy, I got her. and she was between $20 and $50. So the price, you know, to jump from $20 all the way to here we are in the thousands is crazy. But now we have social media and people like certain dogs, and like even if you go to like the pet place in the mall, they'll say things like I call and I said, how much for your, you know, how much do your dogs run? And the guy told me, you know, where our designer pups, our hypoallergenic pups, they start at $3,500. So it's like they're selling a name, they're selling a certain aesthetic of a dog, and they're hiking up the price. I thought that this was ridiculous, and I wasn't going to waste my resources in that way. So I really didn't think that I was going to be able to find a dog that I wanted that was a good price. My sister also had a dog when I was growing up. The dog, I believe, was a rat terrier. It looked like a chihuahua. It didn't have any hair. And I remember when she bought the dog home. Now, we were teenagers, so hold your mule now. When she bought the dog home, the dog looked nothing like the dog that she wanted. She wanted a Yorkie, and this dog didn't look like it. So I knew better than to get a dog that you really didn't want, because a lot goes into owning, like having a puppy and being a dog owner, that if you really don't want to do it, it's just not going to get done. And it's not going to get done the right way. And I didn't want that for, you know, a living thing. Okay. So with all that being said, you're going to have to figure out where you're going to get the puppy from. You have to figure out where you're going to get the puppy from. Is it in your price point? And I just pray that the Lord bless you like he blessed me to find a puppy in the right timing, in the right season, at the right price. All right. So let's move into the first thing, and that is the setup. Now, when I had puppies back in the day, first of all, they were medium-sized dogs, so this setup wouldn't necessarily work. And this setup probably wouldn't work for you if you have a medium-sized dog, and definitely not a large dog. Maybe when the puppy is a puppy, my puppy is 8 weeks old, but as the puppy gets older, this wouldn't work. This setup will work for him indefinitely, but it's working really well now that he is so small. He's a puppy. And that the first thing is to get a playpen. I don't like the kennel situation. I remember the dogs just get very, I mean, it's like being in a cage. Nobody want to be in a cage. Okay. The little thing on the top is just too much. So I didn't want to go the kennel route. So I got a playpen. They sell the playpens on Amazon. I found the playpen for $40 on Facebook Marketplace the morning that I went to pick up puppy. So the only reason I ordered it got it on Facebook Marketplace as opposed to ordering it from Amazon is because it wasn't going to come for a few days. So that's what I got. Another thing is to set up the cage in the way that you think is going to work, and then just be prepared for it to change, which you'll see later on in this video. So let's talk about food. Food is probably at the top of the list of things that you're going to need to get for the puppy. I'm going to tell you, in doing food research, things have changed a lot. I remember the puppies that I had back in the day, I fed them Purina Beneful. I don't even know if this puppy food is something that's still out there. But it was like the popular food back then. They had a lot of commercials, and I was like, oh, they said it has real chicken in it. So I got that puppy food for the dogs. I believe we also tried Kibbles and Bits, and that worked well for the Cocker Spaniel Beagle mix dog. But the Chow Chow, her coat, like she started to get like patchy coat, and my mom had the idea to switch her diet to the science diet. So she had science diet dog food, and it corrected the issue. So I do know that food does have some bearing on your dog's coat and your dog's health, but honestly, everybody has something to say about every food. Like if now you look up the science dog food, everybody has something to say. Okay, so research what the food needs, and then find the food that you want. It's kind of like, I liken it to the process of choosing formula for your baby. If you were a formula fed mom and not a breastfed mom, you will hear people screaming nearly at you saying breast milk is best, and then you might have like a biological issue that you're not actually able to feed your baby breast milk, and then there you are feeling bad. You might have a financial restraint where you're not able to buy this $40 dog food for your puppy. So I would say just do the best that you can. This is a dog food that I chose. I did, like I said, as much research as I could do, and I thought that I was going to get like a Shih Tzu. I didn't get a Shih Tzu, but I did choose the food that was the same food that I was going to get if I got a Shih Tzu. And this is the Royal Cane Puppy Chow, and it's the small indoor dog blend. Puppy really likes it. When I picked him up from his breeder, She told me that he was on Kibbles and Bits. I knew that Kibbles and Bits wasn't a food that I wanted to feed. And I honestly didn't know where to find it. So we just went straight to the puppy store and got this. She also told me that he hadn't been eating much of the food, that he was still nursing on mom. So the fact that he transitioned to this food so quick without any problems is amazing. He loved it. And that's one thing. Sometimes dogs don't actually like the food that you give them. He loved this food, so that worked out really well. And whereas she said he wasn't eating, he ate this, so I just assumed that, you know, he likes the food, which is good. Another thing we got was some treats. Now this says it was $4.99, and it actually came from Ross, and that's, I guess, another little thing that I have for you. You don't have to be spending all this money, girl. Ross be having the puppy pads came from Ross. The dog bed came from Ross. They have leashes. They have a lot of things. The only thing that you probably won't be able to get from there is the playpen and then like a good solid food. But they had these bacon and cheese. Oh, these are not puppy. Oh, it says small. Maybe that's why he don't like them. Crunchy and cleans teeth. But they were $4.99. And here they are. My husband picked these up. But Puppy doesn't like them. Okay, Puppy doesn't like them, and maybe he just doesn't like them now because they're too hard to chew. It doesn't look like it says Puppy specifically on there, but hey, we got those, and then he really likes these. So when he does something like poop in his litter box, I give him these, and he really likes them. So I ordered those from Amazon. You can find them on Amazon. You can find it actually at the pet store, and it's the same brand, Wellness, which I'm sure they have food as well, but I got the Royal Cane food. Another thing is, of course, dog bowls. I plan to litter train him. I don't really like the idea of bringing him outside solely. One, because the day that he came home, our weather changed drastically. It was pouring raining. You'll see it later in this video. It was pouring raining, and it just wouldn't have been a good time in general. He's also not finished getting his shots, so it's just not the time for that. And then we have like a little doggy park very close, like right here next to me. But I don't really like the idea of tracking other people's dog poop back into my home. And because he's small, he's able to be like a completely indoor dog. It's not that I'm not going to walk him outside, because I like to take walks myself, and I plan to bring him along with me. But for right now, I'm trying to transition him from the pad. So as of day 3, I think we're on right now, he is successfully peeing and pooping solely on the pad. But I want him to pee and poop solely in the litter. Okay, I want to get rid of the pads altogether, but slowly but surely. Okay, slow and steady wins the race. Another thing is dog shampoo and conditioner. Oh, oatmeal and orange. I didn't even see it because my husband actually gave him the bath, because I had to take a massage the day that we got him. So this was $4.99 as well, and it was from Ross. It's a 2-in-1 dog shampoo and conditioner, and it has oatmeal and orange oil. Deeply cleans and leaves coat soft. I'm probably going to end up getting another shampoo. There's one called Nasty Critter that I have been watching like some dog grooming videos, and the lady uses, so that's probably what I'm going to get. I also ordered this from Amazon. It's a slow feeder, but honestly, he eats slow enough. So right now, this is not necessary. I think like putting like some peanut butter or something in here that is not like his actual food. That's how I'll feed this, because it's a treat. So there's that. My husband bought this as well. He doesn't really like this toy. It's just a little chew toy, but he does like this. It's a very small, like little, I think you call them Nylabone. I'm going to show you the size comparison. This literally looks like a little baby teether, and it says it's like chicken flavor. He likes it. Like he actually gnaws on it. This is his favorite toy though. He drags it around the floor, which I think he's supposed to be doing, right? So I like this as well. I got it from Amazon. My husband got these little 2 toys, they're little donut squeakers. I also gave him this little cake when he first got home. It can be warmed up in the microwave, so it's just like a little warm cozy, and I put it in there with him. He likes to snuggle up on it. The first day he was snuggled up on it, and I really helped him out. So that's just one of his toys as well. He's on his bed right now and he's sleeping. I would say to get a bed that you can take the zipper off and wash it, because I found out the first night very quickly that the bed doesn't easily go inside of my wash machine. So I'm going to have to hand wash it. A blanket, again, I would not. This is the blanket that I have for him that we bought him home with. As you can see, it's a very nice blanket, but his what do you call it, his nails got hooked onto here and he was getting stuck, so I wasn't able to leave it inside. Instead, I just use it as a cover for his pen. I used like a brand new sheet that I had for him to lay on that first day after he made a mess in his crib. Nail clippers, of course, I ordered these from Amazon. They're very small, I don't know if you can tell, so it's perfect for his size because bigger ones wouldn't have really worked. And I did use this last night. He did very well. This brush, let me show you the brush in comparison to this. The brush is actually too big for him. This is for a big dog, and I didn't know that on Amazon, so I wouldn't order this, but definitely a brush to brush the puppy so they could get used to it. Like I said, puppy pads. The puppy pads we got, they were also $5.99, and they came from Ross. And then I bought the reusable puppy pads as well, and I'll show you the setup of that here in a second. Well, I'll show you now. So I did try to put this on top and then put this on the bottom, just so that long term he doesn't get used to these. However, he's already mastered these, so I'm going to take it slow and just keep this setup like this. The setup over there in his pen is just the same. It looks just like this, except this is just a drawer, and this one I actually purchased from Amazon, but it has the same like little litter setup in there. All right, so here's an example of how I would like to transition him. He actually just peed here. As you can see, like I said, he has mastered the peeing there on the mat. So I put some of the litter in the pee so they could absorb it. Doesn't look like I did too good of a job. It looks like the toilet paper did most of the absorbing, but I know dogs have great sense of smell, so I'm just going to dip some of it in there and then divvy it in both this litter pan and then the one in here, so that he will know that he can use both. He also did a poop for us. Like I said, when he's out, I'm paying attention to him, especially as it relates to him pooping and peeing. And I caught him because I recognized him circling and sniffing. I caught him and I put him inside of the litter so that he can transition. So again, the first night he kind of just did his own thing all over the place. The next day I spent, with my eyeball directly on him, okay? And every time he even thought that he was going to, like, if he stooped to pee and he actually peed on the floor, which he did several times, that first day I let him out, I would just say, put him in the cage, close it, and then walk away. And then like try it again, try the routine again a little later, sort of like a timeout. But then when he successfully got it in, I gave him praise. I also bought this. Now, I'm not going to say this is the reason that he's using the potty on the pads. I believe that it's more of like, when I tell you I don't take him out unless I can keep my eyeball on him, especially until he gets the hang of it. That's what I mean. But I did buy this, and I just spray it. You can spray it inside of the litter. I've been spraying inside of the litter as opposed to the pads because he already understands the pads. Another thing is, the only thing he has access to right now is his pen and the small area of floor right here. When I say small, it's really not small for his size. He does not go, like if I walk into another room, he will not go into it. Like I'm sitting on this carpet right now. He has not been given access to this carpet. The carpet over there, he has not been given access to it. When he steps on it, I say, and hit the floor. Because until we can get the potty situation 100%, or at least 99%, we're not just gonna be walking around pooing all over the place and peeing all over the place, okay? And I have successfully trained I'm the one who trained my other two puppies, so I know that it does work, but I'm used to training them outside. And if I'm honest with you, training dogs inside is much easier. It's easier because you don't have to actually get up and take them outside. I do have a little green machine if he were to like make a mistake on the carpet, but I don't want to be having the green machine. Another thing is to clean up once the puppy makes a mistake. Now, if you're not paying attention to where the puppy is going when you let them like out of the space for their free time, you might have a hard time with this. And then they're going to just think that they will go back to pee in the same spot if you don't clean it up properly. People might be like, oh, that's toxic for the dogs. Guess what? I have kids, like I said, and I use these same products to clean my home. So if it's not toxic for my kids, then the dog is okay as well. It's this Odoban disinfectant. It's what I have sprayed on the floor, and it has completely, like, you don't smell any pee. And as I'm looking at the side here, it says it's good for upholstery, smoke, drapes, and pet odors on the side there. So I really like this. It's not a strong scent. It's actually lavender scented. wouldn't say I think it smells like lavender, but it's not strong scented. Another thing that has been very helpful is the Swiffer sweeper, the kind with like the purple one. You know, this is the green one, but I have a purple one as well that has just a little spray there. Take that little pad off, throw it in the trash. This one I use to clean the mess after I've already cleaned it with the one that can throw away. And this is just the regular green Swiffer, and this pad actually needs to be washed. It has just a little cloth pad that can be washed. As you can tell, a money saving thing. Like, I'm not trying to spend all my money buying all this reusable stuff. But you have to transition the puppy. Like, as far as the pads, I can't just assume automatically that he's just going to use the reusable one. So I'm trying to work with him there. But by the end of that package, hopefully he even got it together. So that's the cleaning supplies that I've been using. I have also been using wipes like this to wipe his paws and just wipe off the floor, especially that first night. I have some toilet paper up there now that I use to just pick up the poop, which I'll show you a little later. And then before, I was using Kleenex to do the same thing. Some smaller trash bags to put the pee-pee pads in and put them into the larger trash can. And then these are the pads that we have. Like I said, they were $5.99 and they're pretty good. Let's see how many is in here. 30 pads, not bad. All right, so outside of those things, which I think are essentials, there are some other things that puppy will need. Now, if you're training puppy automatically to go outside, this is going to be a part of essentials too, and that's some sort of a leash or harness combo or something like that. I ordered this one from Amazon and it came with a leash of the same color. This is an extra small and it is way too big for him. It actually makes him it's kind of hard for him to walk because it is so large. But here's a little harness, and then he has on a collar right now. Now, I did his stuff in stages. So I will say that his first day, I did not automatically put a collar around his neck. I just gave him some time to acclimate. Today he has on the collar, and then he has on the leash when he is walking around, like in his little play area that he's allowed to go into. And this is how I'm going to let him slowly like work his way to other places in the house. But for now, that's what he's allowed to do. Okay, so today is, like I said, day 3, and then on day 3, that's what we introduced. But let me go back. I want to tell you some things that we introduced that I did on day 1, and then kind of how I progressively move things around. But before I do that, I'm going to mention one other thing. Here is so sometimes you'll get dogs and the dogs will be like laden with fleas. Unfortunately, he was not laden with fleas. Thank you, Jesus. He wasn't laden with worms. Thank you, Jesus. But sometimes the dogs are, so you have to be prepared for that. Be prepared to pay for the shots and things of that nature. So that's adding to the cost. I put the cost totally for how much I spent for stuff. And there are honestly still some things that I want to get that I think are still necessities, like a little car seat holder for the car so he can come with me when I drop off the kids. And there's I think that's really the only other thing. And maybe like a different setup for his, like a little thing to hold the mats. But those are not like 100% I need to get them now. But there's still a little bit more that I need to spend for treats and stuff like that outside of what I already have. But I'll let you know how much I spent. And then, like I said, be prepared to pay for some additional shots or just like a wellness exam altogether. Now, I'm be honest, back in the day, girl, my mama didn't play all that. We did take the puppy to get the required shots. We went to Petco. Back in the day, the prices, like I said, were a lot different than they are now. But it's not neglecting the puppy. It's just not being so unnecessary. Now, you yourself haven't been to the doctor in years, yet you take the dog to the doctor every time you get a chance. Something ain't right with it, okay? People losing their mind. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying let the dog be sick and not take the dog to the doctor. I'm not saying that. But I think it's turned a bit more into an obsession than an actual, the dog's going to the doctor because the dog has a real problem. With that being said as well, you're going to have to learn to do a few things if you don't plan on taking the dog to the groomer, like clipping the nails. So there's videos here on YouTube. I'll show you. Well, no, you can find them. One that's easier for you to understand. I did clip his nails last night and it worked out well, but I used to groom my other dogs completely. I didn't grow up with having all those kind of crazy luxuries. Like, my mom wasn't going to spend $200 at the groomer for a child. So I learned how to groom the dog completely, whether it was shaving her, clipping her nails, giving her baths on time. And I was, 13 years old at the time. So don't be so picky and saying, I need to get my dog to the groomers and all this. Don't do that. Anyway, this is coconut oil and water, and as you can see, it has solidified. So I just sit it in the microwave for a little while. I rubbed the dog down with this. I noticed that he was a bit itchy, and it wasn't like itchy from fleas. Maybe it was itchy just sometimes puppies or dogs in general, they just be a little itchy. I noticed that when I put this on him, he wasn't very itchy after that. I also read that I could give him a little to eat, and I gave him 1/4 of a teaspoonful in his food. He ate it, and the itching really has subsided. So we know there that it's just a little dry skin and it's working. So little things like that I love. Like I said, those are just some extra things, but let me show you what I did kind of progressing throughout the day. One, he came home at about 3 o'clock. He took his first bath, and we did introduce his food, and then he went strictly into his pen just to get, used to his surroundings. He was very scared. He was trembling, and it's natural. He left his mother, and his sister, so he was a little scared. So I just kept an eye on him. That night, when I went to bed, honestly, he started crying at about 11 o'clock. I only got like 2 hours of sleep that night. So here we are at the first night. As you can see, it's very early in the morning. Everyone's sleeping, but I did hear him crying quite a bit, and I had been getting up every hour on the hour. I was really confused. Should I clean out the mess now or just leave the mess for the morning? But I didn't want my husband to have to deal with the mess in the morning. But I also didn't want him to think, the puppy to think that, I'm going to be up in the middle of the night cleaning. I'm glad that I followed my first mind, which was to go ahead and clean it out so that he didn't continue to step in it throughout the night, and that he would have a clean space to go back to sleep in. But it did take me some time to clean things out. And after I cleaned things out, I actually rearranged it. So at this point, you'll see that I actually took out his bed because his bed had to go in the wash. And then I put in a new blanket, and I tried to move. I did not. The first night, he had pee pads all throughout the enclosure. I took all those pee pads away and just used one, and it worked out beautifully. Like I said, I found out very quickly that the bed actually couldn't fit in my washer, but I did go ahead and wash some of his items, including the towel that he took his bath with. My husband washed it, and I took it out of the dryer. I'll show you here some of the things that I used. I didn't want like a heavy scent on his laundry, so I put just a little bit of washing powder in it that we usually use, which is Gain. And then I also used some of the dish detergent, which I use for our laundry as well. And then I used some Color Safe bleach for the laundry. After like the 4th or 5th time of getting up in the middle of the night, staggering sleep basically, I realized that I needed to make a cart. Now I did this when my children were babies. Actually, I made like a easy access cart with some of the things that I would need. Like I said, throughout the night, I basically just found new ways of doing things. At this point, I took the food away, and I decided to close it up and put it in a Ziploc bag. After he made the huge mess, I was like, okay, we need to do something. We got to do something a little different here. I know some of you love your pets so much that you actually forget that you need to be washing your hands, but I didn't forget. I continue to wash my hands every time I was dealing with a mess like this. He cried so much this first night. I was a little conflicted if I should let him out and just like let him stretch his legs a little bit, let him know that, I'm checking for him, I'm here or what. So I did. I'll be honest, by the second night, this wasn't an issue and I didn't have to do this, but I did let him out that first night just so he could stretch his legs a bit. He didn't pee or anything, just kind of ran around. He actually thought it was like full on playtime, and I didn't let him think so. Much like I said, when you change a baby in the middle of the night, you don't go talking and playing and all that kind of stuff, or else the baby will be up talking and playing with you every single night. Okay, it's like down to business. So I made sure that I kept this very like down the business transaction. I just let him out, let him eat a bit, let him stretch his legs, and I put him right back in there. night. He started crying about 11 o'clock and it was persistent. So I kept getting up and trying to see what it is that he needed. He made a mess out of the cage that night. He pooped everywhere. He threw up a little bit. So it was a mess. And I was like, Lord, is this how it's going to be? So then I took his bed out of the cage, out of the pen, because I realized that it wasn't easy to put into the wash. And I do have clips of this, but I'm just telling you, I realized it wasn't easy to put into the wash. So I couldn't put it back in there in case he made a mess again. So I got, like I said, a sheet and put it in there for him to lay on. He did stop crying. And I was really still going back and forth. Like, should I leave his food in here or should I not? I did end up leaving his food in there because the breeder, I would say his owner, but the breeder said she just left the food out for him to eat whenever he wanted to. So I didn't want to like shock him too much. Every time I got up, honestly, I just rearranged it more just to see what best would suit his needs. So that first day was really trial and error. Just be prepared to be up. Be prepared to be up like you have a newborn baby. Homeboy was up in here crying, okay? The next night, I was pooped. The next day, I was pooped. So I definitely needed my husband to take over some of the duties. I would say the first thing I did was begin to put him on sort of a schedule. So this is what I did. I said, what time am I going to wake up normally and have him out and about? I decided that time. I did start to chart, like put on a paper all of the things that I did so that I could keep up with it. And then my husband could keep up with it as well. So during, let's say from 8 p.m. until 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. is the time that he would be inside of his pen. The morning feeding, my husband does it, and he has his morning feeding inside of his cage. With that amount of time, he's ready for the morning feeding. He'll get up, eat his food. And this is only because he's younger. As he gets older, he's going to wait until he's out of the pen to have his morning feeding. But right now, since he's so small and so young, he has his morning feeding inside. And the reason why I'm doing inside is because he needs to be watched when he's out so that he is not having unnecessary accidents all over. See, what you can't do is just let the dog do whatever they want to do sometimes, when you don't feel like watching them, because it just sets the training back, honestly. So he is doing very well with peeing and pooing in the designated area inside of his pen. So he's allowed to have the food in there. I was contemplating if I should keep the water in there long term. But yeah, I decided that he can keep the water in there because he is peeing in the right place. Now the food, he don't need to be eating food all day and night, but water, he can have it inside of his cage. I also covered the top of the cage. It's just so that you can add those little routines in there so that the puppy knows what time it is in the schedule. They can know what to expect. If you don't do this, it's going to be very hard to train the puppy. I'm not even talking like I'm no expert. I'm just saying this is how you train things, people in general. You have to have this is how you train yourself. You have to have some sort of routine or it's just simply not going to work. So that's what I did. And then after the first feeding, everybody in the house is still quiet. By the time I get up and like get everything that I need to get done with the kids done, then he comes out. So he's coming out for his like playtime. And depending on if he was successfully using the bathroom. Now, if he's just going to pee all over the place, well, then he's only going to be able to be out for an hour and then go in for an hour, be out for an hour and go in for an hour. And on day 2, that's what we did. By day 3, I think we're actually on day 4 because I got him on Thursday or Friday. Anyway. The first like his first full day was just an hour in, an hour out, an hour in, an hour out. And I noticed that he got tired really quick and he was sleeping. So then we kind of progressed to, well, I'll just leave the door open and then he comes out as he pleases, as long as he's having no accidents. But really, like, he would just go and sit down, lay in that bed himself like he's doing right now, and mind his business and go to sleep. And he sleeps for a very long time. Last night, he slept throughout the night. The night before last night, he woke up at about 3 a.m. So he's not like crying all night long, which is such a blessing. He's not being crybaby. But he likes to sleep. So he goes in there when he's done playing and he takes a nap, and then he wakes up and he comes out and eat his food. So that's the kind of schedule that I have him on, sort of a eat, use the restroom and play schedule, and then sleep. And honestly, that's really the life of a dog. So that is the tip that I have, is to set a very strict routine. Don't do the dog like you do yourself, okay? And just have them all over the place, because they're going to be all over the place. They're going to stress you out. Let me take a look at my notes to make sure that I got everything. That's so just some little things that I noticed. The poop, as soon as he poops, clean it up. The pee on the pee pad, you don't have to clean it up as soon as he do it. It won't bother them. But he's not gonna sit there and poo over his own old poo. Okay, so definitely clean up the poo, and especially if you don't want your house to be stinking. I haven't smelled any pet odor. I mean, of course, the pee does have a smell if you're like, if you pick it up and smell it, but my house doesn't smell like pet poop. So just pick it up as soon as you see the mess. And like I said, I took the food out, so he's eating the food outside of the cage, outside of the pen. And right now he's on a 3-time-a-day food schedule, and I probably try to chop that down to just 2 good meals as he gets older. I put by lunch, I developed the schedule, so that was on his first full day. I let him sleep for about an hour and then call his name outside of the pen so that he could eat. So this was helping him to learn his name. He does respond. I'm not going to make the noise to the like that with his name being called. But again, that's something that I showed him on his first day, first full day home. Each time he peed on the floor, I immediately said, picked him up and put him in the cage. So if they're peeing and you're not saying anything, there's no way for the puppy to know that this is good or that this is bad. And likewise, when he did something successfully, good boy, good boy, good boy, and then introduce those wet treats, like the ones that he really liked, especially if he nailed a poop inside of the litter pan, because that's something that I ultimately really want him to do. Another thing is the nipping, especially when the kids come, he like to do that rough play. I already noticed the rough play, and I don't want him doing that. I don't want him thinking it's okay to nip at people's feet, nip at people's hands. So what I do is what I have read to do, and that is sort of make the noise that, a puppy makes when they're hurt, which is the loud, like that, and then smack the floor, and it works. He listens to and he listens to smack the floor. Okay, very well behaved. But I think this is the poodle in him. Okay, he's very smart. He's a very smart pup. I love that for him. Okay, and I love that for me too. So another thing is I didn't take my eye off him when he was out of the cage, and I made sure that I had nothing to do. So even sitting here trying to do this video like this for you, I tried to do it at first when he was out of the cage and he was trying to play and all over the place, and I want to pay attention anytime he's having an accident so that he knows this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Now my husband was trying to cook the other day and then watch him as well, and I said, honey, I know some people might believe watching him is just kind of being there. No. Watching him is like keeping your 2 eyeballs on him and seeing exactly. I mean, if his leg even looks like he's about to pee, to pick him up and put him where he's supposed to go. That's the only way that it's going to work, and that it's going to work swiftly. Okay, it's better that you do it sooner than later, because the more days the puppy is in the house without these strict guidelines and strict routines, the harder it's going to be for you. And girl, I don't want that for you. Okay, that's how people get stressed out about puppies. Now I do realize that not everyone has the schedule that allows them to be there and be there and be one-on-one so much, but just try the best you can. Okay, try the best you can. Another thing is when he did squat to poop, I put him in a litter box. I told you this even before the new litter box arrived. So I made a makeshift litter box. I just took a lid to one of those little clear containers, little clear shoe boxes you get from the Dollar Tree, put some litter on it just so he would get used to the smell of the pellets that I wanted him to poo on until the litter box arrived that I got from Amazon. Honestly, the box that I got, I really want a bigger one. I thought that it would be bigger because it was advertised for cats and dogs, but it's not. It's pretty small. So I'm going to have to get something bigger than that eventually. But for right now, it will do because he's still transitioning between using the pad and the box. I noticed that after pooping, I had to take the poops out or he wouldn't use it. I did mention that as well. And I noticed I thought the opposite was true. I thought that you need to take the poo and like take the napkins and then put it there so they know where to go. No. He can pick up the smell of where he last did it, which is why if they poo or pee in a place that you don't want them to, it is essential that you clean it up good with something that gets rid of the scent, like the Odoban, because they're just going to go back and do it again. And by 3 p.m. on that first full day, he was going all by himself. So here's just a few more things. I hope that just in case I didn't mention these, open the gate as like it's free play time. So right now, even though he's laying down inside of the cage, the gate is open. So he doesn't think that he's like trapped in there. I want him to know that you can come and go and lay down and get up as you please. Okay. During certain times. At nighttime, it's definitely closed. So it's free play and potty time. The next thing is I measured out the food. Now you'll see this in the video. I had this little container, which yesterday was his first day. No, the day before yesterday, he ate the full thing. So yesterday, the day before yesterday, he had about that much left over. I remember it was 0.44 ounces. So very little food left over. So the next day I went with that same portion size. He ate it all. Today we're going to see if he eats it all as well, but definitely measure out the food. That way, if you do have to take him to the vet or something like that and they ask how much he's eating, you actually know, and you're not just feeding them any old thing. Okay. Like you just know what's going on. And honestly, I know this from having kids. It's the same thing. You don't just aimlessly, you just make a 16-ounce bottle for a newborn baby and just start feeding to them. That's not how you do it. You measure things out. You learn what the baby needs. You learn how much. That's how you do it. It's the same way that you have to do it with a puppy. So I'm not trying to say they're the same. Obviously, puppies are not humans, but there is some similarities in dealing with, a baby version of a dog. I freshen the water. That's another thing. In the morning and then at night, I give fresh water. And then we're using the same water that we drink, which is from the water cooler here. The first night I tried the collar and he didn't like it, so I didn't stress him out. And like I said, we progressively moved to the collar. Right now we have the collar on, and I only make him wear the collar during like daytime time. At nighttime he doesn't have to wear any of that, girl. Nobody want to be constricted. Okay. Play with toys each time during the day when he left the cage. So that first, and here's what I mean, whether it was him playing by himself or me actively playing with him, but I made him do active play. That way he tired himself out. If he did fall asleep, like lay down and try to lounge around, I ushered him back to his spot inside of his pen so that he knows this is where you go back to sleep. And he did get the hang of it. That first full day, I made him play. Again, like I said, much like you do with babies, when babies have that uptime, you make them play so that they're really tired when they go to sleep. I did the same thing for him and it worked. Homeboy was knocked out. Now he'll get out and actually play by himself. So he's gotten the hang of it already. Another thing I did was brushed him. So right now I have like his nighttime routine of brushing him, like I said, and then putting that coconut oil on him. We started it last night. We started brushing him the night before last. Last night added the coconut oil. And then tonight it's going to be at the same time, because that's a key, the same time, doing both brushing and the coconut oil. Showed him where his bed was outside of the pen. So at first I did take the bed out, but I actually just like him being able to, when he wants to retreat, go back into his little pet place. Okay. I'm not going to put the bed for now anywhere else just because he has a small space here. And this is just his play space. It's not time for him to be laying down. Okay. So I hope that this video was very helpful. So I'm back from my walk and he's actually up right now. I want to show you how big he is because I don't think that you can tell by the pictures. Here's my iPad and here he is. If you can tell, if you can tell how small he is, he's very small. He's like, the iPad is bigger than him. He doesn't really like being up there. Here he is. Let me show you. Let me show you him face. His name is Kendall. Say hello. Hello. He's like, girl, put me down. He can't be over here on this carpet, but I wanted to show you how big he was, like I said, because you can't really tell by the pictures. All right, so I hope this video was helpful for you. As always, if you have a question, ask one, and I'll see you in the next video.